Hi, Jim Van Zant, one of the pastors, Carlisle United Methodist Church, with Sermon in 3 Minutes. For this month of October, we've been lifting up in worship themes that come from the book of Acts in the New Testament. And last week, the theme was worship. In the second chapter of the book of Acts, it describes the fellowship and worship life of the believers after so many had been transfixed by Peter's sermon, in which more than 3,000 came to know Jesus Christ. In that chapter, we learned that they met in houses and they shared with each other meals, even possessions with one another. But one of the things that dominated their worship, it says, was a sense of awe and wonder. Awe and wonder at the power and love of God. I just envision in those early house churches that people sat around tables and they just shared with each other about where they see God at work in their lives and what they had seen and experienced throughout the week. And there was a hub of excitement about all of that. I always pray for that here at CUMC. I pray every Sunday morning that we might experience a sense of awe as well. Too oftentimes when our worship life, many of us experience awe, but it's the kind of, awe, is he preaching again? Instead of the kind of, I wonder what I'm going to experience from God today. So much of our experience in church and worship is controlled by our attitude, and so much of that is said even before we walk through the door. Some of us don't have a sense of anticipation or excitement about God, what we might see or experience from God in worship. And yet clearly that's what the first century church did. I don't know why we don't do that. I suppose there are an awful lot of reasons, but it is the single biggest reason for us getting anything out of church. How many times have you gone home from church and said, man, I just didn't get anything out of that today? Well, maybe it was because of the attitude you had even before you walked through the door. We really do need to check ourselves. We really do need to shut out distractions and be fully present in the moment. You know, I believe, and I've used this illustration many times before, that God has a 10-wheel dump truck. And you know what a 10-wheel dump truck is. It's really, really big, of blessings and things he wants to give us out of his love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. And we're running around down here with these tiny little Dixie cups, trying to catch whatever it is that God's going to give to us. Most of that's because of our attitude. So I don't know where you're at in your life or in your worship life, and maybe you don't go to church anymore because you think, well, I just don't get anything from it. Well, I wish you'd turn that around in some way. Maybe go back to church with an attitude of, maybe I'm going to meet God here today. Maybe I'm going to have an experience of God. It might come in the music, might come in the sermon, it might come in idle conversations you have even before you walk through the door. But anticipate having an experience of God. It'll completely change your worship life. Thanks for tuning in. Sermon in 3 Minutes. If you ever get a chance, you're in Carlisle, please stop by and see us. Have a great day.